New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert over here.
Rev Z right here.
And I'm Rev Martine.
And
hello.
This is New Thought today for May 20th. Oh my gosh, it's almost the end of May. May 20th, 2025. Thanks so much for being with us here, folks. We get a chance to connect with leaders and the New Thought folks from all over the movement on this program. And today our guest is Reverend Martine Bernard. So I'm going to let her do a quick intro of herself and share just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Yay infinite. Oh, today's a great day. I like to say that life is good no matter what. I began my New Thought journey by picking up The Power of Decision, which was written by the great Charles Raymond Barker, and at the library when I was 19, and that followed with Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. And I said, is there a church of this stuff? Because it was so cool to have come across this positive psychology. I didn't know what to call it, having been raised very Caribbean Catholic. So I am a patient descent and grew up in a pretty religious home. Loved going to church, but felt like something was missing. I wanted to know, how could I change my thinking? And so that's how it all began many years ago. And I've been on the path for a while now. So excited.
Beautiful. Well, we're excited to have you here, and we're going to learn a bit more about you and your ministry. And here's the sneak peek, folks. Reverend Martine's bringing a new show onto the network here in just a few weeks. So we've been in pre-production, and we're all excited about that.
Yes.
But we're not going to talk about that until later, until a bit after. So you said that you found New Thought Religious Science through Charles Barker. Is that correct?
Yes, Charles Barker, but it was I didn't really know that there was a church or a spiritual community. I mean, back then everything was called church, and just loved the book. Was searching for more, and happened to pick up Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. What's funny about that is that I would go to a wonderful New Age bookstore cafe. I'd go and study there. And on the way to the ladies' room, there was this book facing out that was saying, you can heal your life. And I was like, heal your life? What does that mean? I can heal my life? Isn't my life kind of set with my genetics, with my culture, with the world as it is? What do you mean I can heal my life? So eventually I stopped arguing with the book and just bought it and read it. I was 19. A lot of its concepts were over my head. Well, I should say I was arguing with a lot of it. But one thing that I really got deeply attracted to was this idea that I could create my reality. At the time, and we're talking about the 90s, there was a lot of bad propaganda around Haitians, or there were lots of Haitian immigrants coming to this country, and they were called boat people, the boat people. Yeah. So they were landing on the shores in Miami. They were being sent back. So growing up, there was, Haitians are boat people, Haitians, and then there was also maybe the end of the AIDS epidemic, because that was the 80s, so this is the 90s. So Haitians also brought AIDS. So it was really hard being a young person of Haitian descent. So I felt really bad about myself. And many of my friends would say, don't tell people you're Haitian. So it's really funny that Haitians have come back. And now we eat cats and dogs. It's always something. Well, back then, it was AIDS and boat people on cardboard, pieces of cardboard coming to America. So as a young Haitian American girl, I was just like, oh, this is miserable. And when I read that book, I was like, oh, I can feel good about myself. Oh, I can create a positive reality. I don't have to stay in a victim mentality. So when I read the book, I looked in the back and I found that there was a church of the religious science church. And I think I said something to my mother about having to study or go to the library on Sunday so I wouldn't have to go to Catholic Mass. And I went to a service. And that's how it all began. I was a closeted New Thought attendee. Yes.
I love it.
Yes,
Wow.
very closeted in my household. I had to be.
Yeah. But see, I would love to say that it was more. I would say it was incubated. You were in an incubator, and it was
Yes.
That whole thing of cultivating and developing until it was time to be seen, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. And it's really sweet because my mom, who is very religious, I call her a mystical Catholic, said to me, well, God was doing something and you went to that other church, but I saw you making a difference. So I said, okay, Jesus, I'm okay with it.
That was exactly my question. What was the conversation like when your mom finds out you're sneaking away from the big guy and off into those heathen type churches? Or
Exactly. It was really tough at the beginning. It was definitely tough. There were quite a few discussions, heated discussions. But I think I think because my other siblings are not religious or spiritual at all, I think my mom is just happy that I'll pray for her. She said to me the other day, you know how to pray over people. I just pray. I pray for the world, but you pray over people. You're an incredible prayer warrior. And coming from the ultimate church lady and prayer warrior herself, that's a big compliment. So she's come to services. She'll say to me, well, you're not being positive. That lady that you're crazy about always says you have to think positively. Why are you being so negative? So now she's checking me. Mom is checking me.
I love it. And that's an interesting statement in that, one thing New Thought teaches is that we have to be realistic. Not that we get stuck in the realism, but we can't do the spiritual bypass and act as if things do not exist. And so it's interesting walking the razor blade's edge, if you will, of how do you bring the attention of these things that grab our attention and can cause us to move into effects, and at the same time be able to highlight or raise above the positive piece so that you can walk that razor's edge, because it inevitably things happen.
Yes.
We're not even going to go into how they happen, but they do happen. And once they happen, we have to acknowledge them, and then we have to deal with them in a positive way and not get stuck in the mire and muck of the thing itself, not God thing itself, but the incident or the experience. And that's a tough charge today, I think.
I think it is a tough charge. I mean, right now in the media, Haiti is in a very, very, very challenging state. We don't deny we know it's an illusion, but we always stay anchored in the truth. So we know that what's happening, or I should say, we know what's happening is real. We know that's real. We don't deny the reality of circumstances and situations, but we hold the highest truth. So for me, as a Haitian American, hearing the very challenging, sad stories about the political situation in Haiti, I just always have to stay anchored in, yes, there will be solutions. Yes, there will come a day where justice is served, where hardship begins to dissolve. One of my dreams, and it might be very far fetched, but is getting the Signs of Mind translated into Haitian Creole.
Mm.
And some of just the New Thought greats, but the Signs of Mind. I spoke with Reverend Michael Beckwith about that. He was like, "What's your dream?" And he said, that is something that's possible.
Mhm.
So starting small, so that people, because in Haitian Creole, there's a word that a lot of the more rural people describe themselves as "ti paysan," ti malheureux," little sad one. I mean, that's a literal translation of it. But that's basically I'm a small poor one, or a small meager one. And even in the language, imagine if people didn't have that languaging as a description of themselves. That alone could begin to change consciousness and could begin to impact the reality, the daily life of people back home. Just changing language about who you are in this universe. And so reading the Signs of Mind, later the Signs of Mind, but first Louise Hay and The Power of Decision by Charles Raymond Barker got me thinking about, wow, what language am I using? And one of my favorite ministers who's a mentor, Reverend Carlos Anderson, always says, you're not a victim, but you may have had experiences that have victimized you. So we don't deny the experience, but we don't take on the identity. And so that's what I experienced in reading You Can Heal Your Life. That my identity wasn't this broken Haitian girl who came from a country that had had a dictator and that was always going through some horrible thing. It wasn't my identity. My identity was an ageless, timeless being, unlimited in the cosmos. And if I identified with that, my experiences would change. And they began to change.
Mm. Yeah.
But and that's excuse me, that's powerful in that when I look at the BIPOC community, and I think about, for most of them, and I can definitely speak for the Black and brown to a little more succinctly,
Yes.
but the culturation, if you will, of those individuals and communities to think less of themselves, to take on titles of meekness or weakness or less than, over generations, it becomes second thought, right? And so what we learned in New Thought is this idea of change your thinking, change your life. And so when you made that statement about the little, because I think about, some of my older relatives in North Florida who I had a couple of grandparents who were slaves. And I think about how they were culturated and how they were taught to look at themselves, and how the mothers were taught to look at their sons and daughters in terms of the role they should play and how they should speak. This teaching has the ability to transform that.
Yes.
And it is probably a scary notion to some of those that are in power, because that could flip a switch overnight. And if that switch gets flipped, rather, there's a new ball game going on. And that's one of the things that keeps me moving forward in this teaching, is that this has the power to do that overnight.
That is so inspiring, because you're 100% correct, Rev. You're 100% correct, because that's what it did for me. Um, sometimes I get my Haitian card revoked. Sometimes I get my Black card revoked. Because when you become, when you are part of this philosophy, some people think that you don't take the causes or the problems as seriously. I like to say in my sermons, I wear my race and my gender as a loose garment, not because I'm in denial, but I just can't buy into the identity all the time that I'm limited by this box that says that I'm a Black woman, immigrant descended from a country that is just constantly having problems. If I identified with that, for me, that's a limiting concept. I'm more than that. And it doesn't mean that we don't stand up for injustice or protest or sign petitions or do whatever our hearts calls to us to do in the face of oppression or injustice. But I get very cautious of overly identifying with, for me, and I know that many people may have issue with this, but I don't overly identify with my gender and my race. I know that I'm a soul having a human, incarnation. And I've chosen the flavor. I decided to, and I like it. I enjoy it a lot. But is it who I am? I'm going to shuffle off this mortal coil, let go of this vehicle at some point. So I try to stay anchored in the truth. And what I've found is that it's helped me to experience a lot of joy, a lot of prosperity, creativity, well-being, and peace in my life, and higher self-esteem as well. My self-esteem began to lift as I began to see myself as more than just a Haitian American girl that comes from a messed up little country in the Caribbean.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that leads me to that interesting point that at what point is there kind of that awakening that takes it the next step? Right. To me, what I hear is New Thought, Science of Mind open the door for that self-awareness. Where does it take the giant leap to, oh, I want to do this thing called ministry?
Wow. Well, it's so funny. My background is I'm a creative. I was a professional singer in Europe. I've been a hairstylist. I've been a makeup artist. I've been very involved in acting, fashion, and music. But I've always had a passion for spirituality, and people began to call me Rev. I thought it was absolutely insane. People were like, "You'd be a great psychologist." No, you're like a minister. You're preaching to me. And I thought that's a nice compliment, but that's not going to happen. And I think my programming, being raised Catholic, I remember at some point in high school, I went to parochial Catholic schools all my life, from kindergarten to 12th grade. And so I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, and I had Franciscan nuns. And I know people always talk about the horror stories, but I had some great nuns. I had some great nuns as teachers. And for a nanosecond, I wanted to be a nun until I guess I started having crushes on boys. So that went out the window in 10th grade. But coming from a very kind of, I call Catholicism a religiously conservative background. I never, all the priests were men, all the nuns were women. I never imagined myself as a minister. And so for a nanosecond, I thought about being a nun, but it was people in my life. I began attending after reading Louise Hay's book. I began attending a Unity church because the religious science church that I attended closed down after 2 years. Reverend Gould came from Los Angeles to Boston, opened a religious science church. So it was, 25 years ago. I started attending, but then he passed away fairly quickly. And it was amazing. It was the first time that I heard the infinite intelligence of the universe is guiding your life. You're a co-creator with the infinite. I was like, I'm a co-creator with the infinite? Wow, that sounds amazing. And so after he made his transition, incredibly mystical, powerful spiritual leader, people were saying, oh, we're going to go to Unity. And I said, what's Unity? They said, it's science of mind with a little bit more Jesus. And I said, I've been raised Catholic. I can deal with a little bit more Jesus. I'm cool with that. So I began attending a Unity church. Yes. And I was part of the music ministry. So my path to the ministry was through music. So I became a singer and a soloist in many Unity churches here in New England. And folks would say, oh, Rev Martine. And I would say, Rev Martine. And they would say, yeah, that one thing you said right before you started to sing, that sounded ministerial. And I was like, it was one line. What are you talking about? And so it was really funny. People just started calling me Dr. Rev Martine. And I said, I'm a singer. They're like, no, you are. No, you're not. You're a minister. And so I guess it got into my mind. And from then, I really began to consider it. And I had a random friend. I was having coffee with a friend, a Jewish friend of mine, who said, you're a minister. And I think it was the tipping point. And I said, something? People have been saying this for years. I think I am. I think I'm going to sign. Well, I see you being a minister when you're older. And I'm like, when I'm older, how older? And I was like, I hope it's not too old. They're like, he was like, not too old, but you're going to be a minister.
Oh my God.
And I took it to heart and all the signs. And I said, okay, divine. Okay, spirit, I'll heed the signs.
Right. Beautiful. Well, I think you picked the right avenue, because I will say, when it comes to this older piece, right, that my kids keep saying that, and I keep telling them, I don't know how you think you're getting any older. I'm not. And, but really, New Thought is like the fountain. I figure it's the fountain of youth.
Yes, it
is.
Because
none of us look as old as we are. Anybody that's been around for a while in this movement, we all just kind of stop aging at a certain point. And
I had a friend say that. I had a friend say, "Oh my God, she looks 60 and she's 80. That Rev is like 80 years old." And so it's true. I think it keeps our minds young. We're creating new. Well, the science is backing it up. We're creating new neural pathways. We're renewing our minds. So.
And here is something you said that I think is right in line with that, in terms of renewing consciousness, in that a lot of us have come to this movement from different religious backgrounds. And we've been able to make the translation from what we were to what we are, if you will. And so it gives us this, a friend of mine, I started out as a Christian, became a Muslim, and studied some Egyptology, and I've done a lot of things. And a friend of mine, dear friend, who was a mentor of mine that knew me since I was a teenager, and I had a confrontation with someone about my Islamic bringings, if you will. And my friend said, well, don't worry about that, because what you are a multilingual New Thought minister.
Yes.
And that idea of multilinguists, to be able to take a principle from New Thought and relate it to Christianity or Islam or Egyptology or anything else at a real point, not at just an academic point, but at a lived point, allows people who feel like they're trapped or lost to expand, to recreate themselves, to reimagine themselves, which is exactly what this teaching does. Because Ernest Holmes says, I didn't come to start a new religion. I came to highlight the golden thread that runs through it all. You pick one, and I can show you where this thread goes through it, whether it's monotheistic, polytheistic, or if you want an atheistic. It's all one teaching. And I think that's what this gives us the opportunity to do, to break those barriers. And so I'm always excited.
That is so exciting. Thank you for that description and just that inspiration, because that's what I feel in the idea of bringing the science of mind, or the idea of translating the science of mind into Haitian Creole. There are many Haitians who are very, very Catholic. We're a very Catholic nation, but Haitians who are very much into voodoo, the kind of African ancestral, I would earth-based, I would say pagan-based religion, and it's applicable even if you're not, a Christian doing a more traditional form of spirituality, because I think it's so universal. At our core, I think what was so powerful about discovering science of mind and the New Thought movement is that at our core, we do know we create our reality. We do know that life and death are in the power of the tongue. We do know that our attitude, every human being instinctively knows that their attitude, wow, I've been really negative lately. No wonder I got into a car accident. We know it instinctively because we are spiritual beings having a human incarnation. So it's something that resonates with everyone. That's why I feel that this is the best kept secret. It needs to be everywhere in the world. It needs to touch so many lives, because as Ernest Holmes had desired, it's a school, it's a curriculum for life, if we're willing to use it. And so it can be applied anywhere. I have a friend who is working with a group of students in Nigeria, via social media and bringing the science of mind. And she said these young folks are on fire for the science of mind. They're quoting it. They are having miracle manifestations because they're so on fire for this philosophy that actually brings spiritual liberation and freedom. And so I think that as we expand globally, thank you, God, through social media, we can liberate people from the prisons of the mind and cultural constructs that have held them trapped for so long. And that's exciting.
When you brought up the voodoo, and I'm thinking about, my mind automatically went to the Orishas of West Africa.
Yes.
And thinking about how, which then took me back to the gods of ancient Egypt, which in their vernacular were not gods as we see God. They were aspects or divine emanations of the one thing. And these represent laws and principles. And it's amazing. When you
it's
can make
really
that
amazing. It's really amazing. And they are allegories and mystical stories that are attributes of the one mind, the one source, the one love of the universe. And so it's really applicable and it makes sense to anyone. That's what I love about New Thought. It's so practical. It's practical. Some people call it practical Christianity, the old New Thought tradition, or the practical mind cure movement. I've been reading about Phineas Quimbley, the founder of New Thought, who was, doing a clockmaker in Maine, who was hypnotizing people, and he called it the mind cure movement. Well, everybody's looking for some kind of cure from something that ails them, and this is it. It will cure your mind.
It will cure your mind. There we go. All right, folks. We do need to take a quick break and let a couple of our sponsors say hello. However, we got plenty more coming with Rev Martine. I've got a couple of questions that are just like, ooh. And we're going to share a little bit more about your upcoming program and what Martine's doing here to support the network. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute or so with some more, but please stay tuned, stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome to the Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together. Join us for a truly bilingual retreat experience on the shores of the beautiful Lake Chapala, Mexico. July 22nd through July 26th, 2025, at the Hotel Villa Monte Carlo in Jalisco, Mexico. Featuring Reverend Jeffrey Ryan, Dr. Jose de Lira Sosa, Reverend Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis, Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse, and Reverend Dr. David Bruner. Registration is now open, and payment plans are available. Simply visit www.conventionoftheamericas.com. Come be part of a transformative gathering with powerful presentations, workshops, networking time, and just good old relaxing and connecting. Plus, you can learn more about the science of mind and how to live this powerful philosophy in your life. Transform your life at Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together.
And we're back with more of New Thought today here on the New Thought Media Network. My brother, Reverend Elzia, and I, and our special guest, Reverend Martine Bernard. And all this talk, Reverend Martine, really kind of brings me back to a kind of a centralized question that I'm asking a lot is, how much bigger can we get? And New Thought, totally agree. Got to be out there. And, we were just sharing a spot there for a bilingual conference that happens in Mexico. And folks, it's a great time. If you can be there, be there. And as you were sharing today, I've been reflecting that there is a strong New Thought presence on the island of Jamaica. There is a presence of New Thought on the island of Barbados. There's probably influences and presences on other Caribbean islands that I'm not aware of. I guess, so my question for you, has there ever been kind of that pull, that tug, that sense of the calling to take this back to Haiti and beyond just translating the book into Creole, but actually getting back there and planting a church and starting a center and really diving into ministry in that aspect?
Yes, and yes. Yes, definitely. Once again, like I said, this is the best kept secret that's out. And so we're going to make sure, I just feel like it's my call to, begin a small school, begin a small church. Many people have done it single-handedly, independent individuals, and then churches and outreach. I have an opportunity to have been ministering at a wonderful church here in Newburyport, Unity on the River. And this is something that I plan on bringing to the community, a possible fundraiser so that we can kickstart a small study group in Haiti. And many people still go. I know that there's a lot of bad news that comes out of Haiti, but people go back and forth very, very safely. I always like to remind my American friends, it's kind of like, imagine if one particular area that was having problems in America was the only place broadcasted that they only spoke of. We know that there are places where, it's peaceful, nothing's happening. Well, it's the same in Haiti. So only the bad places get the bad news.
Yeah.
So, yes, taking it back home, bringing it to people. Haiti has a population, 50% of the population of Haiti is under 25. So young people are actually, the first language used to be French. I'm a French speaker. My parents worked for the UN. My mom taught French. I'm a native French speaker. And Creole, Haitian Creole was my second language. But today in Haiti, most young people speak Haitian Creole and English. Because, of course, everybody's on social media. Everybody has a device. So it really would be an easy shoe-in to go in and begin to give classes or even talks in English, in Haiti, everywhere, and that you don't have to leave your respective spiritual path. One of my favorite teachers and gurus is Yogananda. He has a great quote, "The religions are like pearls around the neck of God." So, and of course, in New Thought, we believe in oneness. And Ernest Holmes' ideal focus was that this would be a teaching tool. You could be of any religious background or spiritual tradition and incorporate the science of mind into your life. You didn't have to leave anything behind, And so I believe that would work perfectly in a place like Haiti. We're not taking you away from your religious or spiritual tradition. This is an addition, in addition to.
Nice.
Yeah, and we need that so much today, right?
Oh, we certainly do. I wanted to just quickly mention also the global South is where it's at. People tend to be very spiritually oriented and open. And there's so many young people. I think Africa is 50% the population of 50 billion people. There are lots of people there. I don't know how many million are really open to the new, to the cutting edge, And I think it's time. Our time has come for this movement. I think we can expand globally very, very easily.
Yes. Yeah, having been to Kenya and knowing that there's presence in South Africa, again, these global spots that are ready for this kind of evolutionary step in consciousness and in thinking.
Well, because so many people in the global South or BIPOC people have been told that they are their circumstances. So if you're growing up in a circumstance where there's poverty, where there's a lack of education, that's it. There's no hope. That's all you'll ever get. And our philosophy is the counter narrative to that programming. You are an unlimited being. And by the power of your thinking and your emotions and the power of prayer, affirmative prayer, you can change your life. That would sell. That's a
Reverend.
That set me on fire.
And you think about it, I of course I had to go to the Googles, if you will, to get those facts, right? Because these numbers matter now to the young people in terms of how they hear things. Africa is 1.5, almost 1.6 billion people. But the interesting part of it is the continent makes up 19% of the world population. Wow. So almost 1/5 of the world population is in Africa.
Wow.
For those that are in control and not wanting these type of teaching and these type of experience to be spread to a fifth, that creates a fear factor.
It certainly does. Think about the explosion of world music. I mean, I've been listening to African music since I was a child. My parents were teachers for the UN in Kinshasa, Congo, which is Belgian Congo back then. So it has taken off. I'm in CVS and I'm hearing African Afrobeat playing, and all of the musical artists that are coming out of Africa. So we know that now that I feel that we're coming into a consciousness of oneness. Everything is being spread back and forth. Why not for this philosophy? Why not?
Yeah.
For young people who are hungry for the new and cutting edge everywhere.
And you being a musician, you know, a professional musician. I'm a has been, high school musician, but the idea when I think about when you said that, I think about back in the day. I used to listen to King Sunny Ade out of the West African tradition, or a Kula Kula, what's his name?
Oh, Fela.
I forget his name right now. Look at
Fela
Fela.
Kunti,
Yes.
Nigeria.
Fela Kunti.
Yes.
Imagine this message over top of that music.
Yes. This is real. This is
level.
not just potential. This to me is reality, because social media has connected us. And a lot of the young people, or people in general, I would say modern folks today, want something that's more progressive. I always say, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I loved going to church. I've always been a spiritual person, but I needed more. And the more I needed wasn't for me to love Jesus more. I love Jesus, I love God, but I'm still sad. I just went to church all day and I'm still feeling like a victim. What's missing? And we spent hours in church. Some people would bring snacks. 4 hours. Haitians do 4-hour church from 10 to 2 p.m. So with all of that churching, I was still sad. I was still depressed. I still had low self-esteem, and I still felt powerless to my circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's many people today. And so the science of mind and new thought to me is a bridging of both of those traditions with positive psychology. And science is now proving everything that we new thoughters have been saying for a very long time. They can even test it in brain waves. And the parts of your brain that light up when you're coming from fight or flight, that's the amygdala, the lower brain stem. When you're coming from positive thinking, critical thinking, that's the frontal cortex that lights up. So there's science to prove this now, something that the ancients were saying forever, and what we've been saying in our spiritual tradition.
We have reached that point.
Yes.
Where science and spirituality are walking hand in hand.
Yes, they truly are.
We do say that on this program quite a bit.
Quite a bit. It's facts. It's facts. So this makes it attractive. It makes our movement very attractive.
Yes, exactly. I'm just thinking that, just looking at the numbers, 1/5 of the population south of the equator. Right. And we know that the numbers wise, we don't even need everybody to believe. We just need to get to that tipping point in consciousness where this becomes the prevalent thought pattern. And we see that happening in North America a little bit in specifically in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry, and more and more and more. It's hard to turn around and not see the new thought message in popular culture, in television, in movies, and coming out of actors, out of actor. And I mean, look at McConaughey. I was watching. I shared this the other day. I was watching a series of Tony Robbins things over the weekend. And Matthew McConaughey is part of it now, and he's talking and he's sharing. And somebody in the chat box is like, "Why doesn't this guy have a church?" And I'm sitting there going, "Because we've got it." And like, tell me where you live, man. I'll tell you where there's a church that's saying exactly the same thing these guys are saying. But I think the bigger thing is, people have outgrown that old method and that old concept of church, and it's got to take on new form. And that's what New Thought Media Network's about. And I don't want to lose sight that you have a show coming up.
Yay!
To premiere a program with you, Rev Martine. And before we run out of time today,
We're having a great conversation.
Yes. And I think this is perhaps one of the more creative names we have come up with. And I think it so fits for who you are, not only in this moment, but as you share more of your history with us and your upbringing with us, this just makes sense, right? What would you say?
Yes. What would Louise say? It's really exciting. We will be airing on June 10th, coming up soon. And this is really pivotal. She's been a teacher, a spiritual teacher to me. And in fact, I had an incredible experience where I met her. I'll talk about that more on the show. I was able to meet her twice in person. And it was just, there are no coincidences in the universe. Mm-hmm. And that book has been gifted to so many people in my life. They're probably sick of me. But what would Louise say? I'm so excited because the show is about letting people know that Louise Hay was actually a Science of Mind minister and practitioner. Some people know, but we want to bring this legacy back to Centers for Spiritual, Living. And why not? She's part of our foundation. She's part of our legacy. She wrote her wonderful book that's been translated into 90 languages and that has sold over 90 million copies. Her book and her workshops are actually very, very popular in India. And since I am now a certified Louise Hay coach and teacher, there are many workshops. There's so many workshops in India. So this is something that I just want to bring to our movement, re-inspire us to connect with Louise and to talk to people who've been influenced by Louise's work, which is rooted in the science of mind. Her book was basically a secular rewriting or inspiration of the Science of Mind and Spirit, our foundational text. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about all those topics that people don't talk about. We're not going to be afraid. So people will be able to send in their questions. And I think we're going to have a fantastic time. I can't wait.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Yay.
Yeah, I can't wait either. I'm going to mark my calendar here.
Oh, we're going to have you on.
What time? I would love to be on. I definitely want to. Because I think this idea, again, that's a multilingual or multilinguist move right there. Because there are a lot of people into Louise Hay that have no idea that she was the Science of Mind minister and practitioner.
That's right.
And there are many offshoots of that. Now, imagine what possibilities are available if we say, here is the root or here is the well from which Louise drank.
Yes.
Come and get your drink. Who knows how it might inspire you?
Precisely.
So I'm getting goosebumps here right now. Or God bumps, as they say. I'm just
God bumps, not the goose.
Well, let's give everybody a sneak peek of the intro video, folks, and then this should answer most of your questions about when and why. But let's just run this real quick.
What would Louise say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Rev Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Rev Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the draft edition of that video, though. I need to update the
That's
last scene.
fabulous to me. It looks great, Rev.
Well, and there's something in there that has been special in creating this program with you and hoping to nudge this along. I don't want to take credit for it, but because the idea has been yours all along. And I realized this recently. There's a whole new language out there these days that I don't understand, that I can't speak, but the young kids can. The generations younger than I can speak that language and understand that language. And I saw this really great video the other day. It was an older guy, and he came into a speech and used all the terminology of all the like inner millennial lingo to give his speech. I didn't understand a damn thing the man was saying. But every kid in that high school auditorium was rolling in laughter. We're getting up and high-fiving each other. We're jumping up and down like it was a comedy show on a rock comedy show type thing. And we have to be able to begin to translate to a younger generation.
Yes, we do.
I also saw a stat recently that under 15, our country is predominantly illiterate. Under the age of 15, we are functionally an illiterate society. Our kids are not learning how to read because of devices and video and TikTok, and everything's audio input and visual input anymore, that kids are starting to lose how to read. And I don't want that to happen. But it does directly point to it's going to be harder and harder for a 17, a 15, a 19-year-old young girl from a nation that gets picked on to find this work if we have to rely specifically on the written word and on books. So what you're doing is bringing this into a modern vernacular, a new language, a new way to share this imperative work. It doesn't require us to sit down and start telling people, okay, turn to page 53, go down to paragraph 4.
Well, that's what the New Thought Network is doing. Thank you for your vision, for keeping a vision alive, and for putting out shows, and for supporting this idea. I think that's what's so remarkable. And that's the way we're going to have to do it. It's going to have to be bullet points and getting it out through social media.
Yeah.
And I think again, and I'm on this multilingual thing.
Yes.
So please,
it is. It's about being multilingual. That's right.
But I thought about, like, my daughter is a 4th grade teacher, and she'll be working this summer on developing or enhancing a curriculum, a reading curriculum. Because as we said earlier, we have the science now. We know that when I speak, a certain part of my brain lights up. When I view something, another part of my brain lights up. When I read something, both of those parts of the brain fire. Because when I'm reading, I have to create a visual image of it. When I'm reading, I hear an audio. Even if I'm reading silently, the vibration of reading those words are being emitted. And so that's why, from the basic language of teaching, you learn better if you hear it, read it, write it, and say it, right? Your memory of the fact gets enhanced by each one of those faculties that you use. And that's what it means to embody something.
Yes.
So that when I see a vision, when I see something, it automatically triggers a whole thing. Or I hear something, it does a whole thing. And we have to begin to look at when science and spirituality walk hand in hand, from the visible into the invisible, because that's what we're dealing with now. That's what these principles are. Invisible principles that must be activated consciously, because they're working regardless. But when we do it consciously, it all works at a fabulous, fabulous rate. And so I'm excited.
This
You can't
is
hear me say it, but,
and it is exciting. But what you said, it's working anyway. And I think that that's like the fine print. And it was working anyway in my life as a young immigrant girl being raised in this country. But I didn't realize that the fine print or the subtle message was victim, impossibility, that's not going to happen. And so it's a message that I believe could resonate with all young people, because young people look at this world and get freaked out. They're like, oh my God, how can I be here? How things aren't going to change. And so this philosophy is all about holding the vision and eventually embodying the vision. Embodying the vision for your life and for the world. Yeah. And that's something that Louise was able to reach people of all walks of life, all genders, all globally. And so, yay, we're bringing her back. We're bringing her back to New Thought, to Science of Mind.
Exactly. Oh, I love it. I love it. Folks, we're going to take one more quick break, say hello to our organizational sponsors and individual donors, but you don't have to go away, because we're coming right back with our final thoughts. We'll be back after this. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring. Yes. Thank you to our organizational sponsors and individual donors. If you'd like to become a part of the New Thought Media Network family, and with your financial support, please head on over to our website, www.ntmedia.org/donate. Make it a monthly donation if you would. We'd love your support. Thank you. All right. Rev Martine, I have a feeling we're going to have you back again and again and again. So I'm not even going to ask if you're going to come back. We'll just figure out afterwards when you're going to come back.
Yes, I'd love to come back.
Folks, if you're catching us near the end of the broadcast, remember, as soon as we're done, it'll go live again on our YouTube page, and you can check out the replay on our YouTube at any time. Catch up with Reverend Martine on her show premiering on June 10th. That's a Tuesday. Tuesdays at 10 a.m. What Would Louise Say? Exploring the life and work of Louise Hay with Reverend Martine Bernard. Again, that's going to start on June 10th. So we're really excited for that premiere. All right, before we go, Rev Z, final thoughts.
Excitement. My final thought is excitement. Because I can't put what I'm feeling into words. So I'm just going to say final thoughts. Be excited about life and transformation and plugging into the source of life so that we can do this work that needs to be done.
Beautiful.
Yes. Thank you for that. My final thoughts are, life is good no matter what. So whatever your circumstances might be, wherever you are, whatever your neighborhood, if you're a young person, whatever your neighborhood might look like, and your experiences up to now, when you begin to declare and you look for that goodness in your life, you will find it. And the more good you find, that will be an energy. That will be the fuel for the possibilities that can manifest in your life. You are a champion. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. You have important work to do in this world, and your thoughts are powerful. Become aware of them and shift them. Every moment, just shift your thoughts. At 19, I realized I wasn't a victim. I was victorious, and I could have a beautiful life. And that's possible because life is good no matter what.
Yeah, Reverend.
Yeah.
I gotta make my way out there.
Come watch the show.
And come watch the show. There we go. I gotta make my way out. I got to make my way out east to come see you preach some morning. So,
Yes.
Folks, I want to thank you for being a part of what we're doing here. And, my final thought in all of this is that I feel so blessed by this new friendship that we've developed over the last couple of years. And not only that you're coming onto the network, but that every day we get the opportunity to speak with more and more people that are doing the good work of sharing this message, of bringing this life-affirming science of mind and new thought philosophy into the world in ways that people can hear. And over the last year or so, I found myself with that phrase a lot, with those with the ears to hear, those with the ears that can hear, that are open and receptive to this message. And so I'm just blessed because I get great friends like both of you two to play with all the time, and that's a good thing.
Yes,
Folks,
yes.
Folks, we'll be back again next week with more of New Thought Today. Reverend Martine, you don't have to go. Don't have to go away because we've got the after party after this. But everybody else,
party hardy.
everybody else, we're going to get out of here and let you get into the rest of your day. And look forward to seeing you again real soon. Until then, we wish you peace.
Blessings. Bye, everyone.
Bye now.
Think a positive thought.